Hello everybody, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we'll be talking about Roy Cooper, who announced just yesterday that he is jumping in to North Carolina's 2026 U.S. Senate election. This is huge news for the Democratic Party. This is a really monumental moment, I think, just in terms of Senate elections. I'm going to talk about why. First, I want to briefly apologize for the sound quality on this video. We'll have it fixed by next video. We're just going to have to deal with it for today. And the 2028 series next video should be out within the next few days as well. So now that we've done that, why is this monumental? Why is this so important? Well, Roy Cooper has been a dream candidate for Democrats in North Carolina for years. He was first elected governor in 2016. He was reelected in 2020, and Democrats have really had their eyes on him because North Carolina is a competitive state that Democrats have just been unable to find a victory in a Senate race in, and Cooper has been their best candidate. He's one of the best known statewide officials, and he is certainly someone that is quite well liked in North Carolina, even though he is a member of the Democratic Party, and his party does tend to lose more federal elections. So, just thinking about candidate recruitment in Senate elections in the past decade, really. There are a few candidates that come to being as important as Roy Cooper. If you think back to 2024, there weren't really any candidates that changed the dynamic of a race so much as Roy Cooper has done here in North Carolina. The closest might be Larry Hogan, who ran for Senate, but he was in a safe state, so even he had no realistic shot of winning. And then in terms of 2022, most of those races, with the exception of Pennsylvania and North Carolina, had incumbents. And in neither Pennsylvania nor North Carolina, we had a statewide official that had been elected run. Sherry Beasley technically was elected statewide, but she lost re-election in 2020, so she wasn't a perfect candidate for Democrats. And then, really 2018, Democrats got Phil Bredesen to run. In 2020, Democrats got Steve Bullock to run. These were also popular governors, but they too were in deeply red states. Obviously North Carolina is a red state too, but it's nowhere near as red as Tennessee or Montana. So I think the last time that you got a candidate as good to run for Senate on either side of the aisle was Maggie Hassan in 2016, who was the pretty popular governor of New Hampshire, who ran and defeated the GOP incumbent in the Senate race there, Kelly Ayotte, by just a couple thousand votes. It was unbelievably close, and had Democrats not been able to run Maggie Hassan, first of all, I don't think anyone else could have beaten Kelly Ayotte in 2016. But secondly, Kelly Ayotte might still be in the Senate right now because we have no idea whether or not Democrats would have been able to flip that seat in 2022 because Kelly Ayotte was by all means a strong incumbent too. So overall, this is a really, really big deal, and it makes total sense to me that a lot of Democrats are really excited about this because Roy Cooper is a great candidate. And the reason I say that is because he's literally, going back to the year 2000, he's won a statewide election in a presidential year every year since 2000, in every presidential year since 2000, except for 2024 when he, was term limited as governor, didn't run for anything. He's 6-0 at statewide elections. That's crazy in a swing state like North Carolina, let alone as a Democrat. And North Carolina, if you think of presidential elections since 2000, North Carolina has voted Democrat how many times? One time. It voted for Barack Obama in 2008. That was it. It's been close, especially in 2020, but it really has been a state that's been close but pretty favorable to Republicans more often than not. In 2000, 2004, 2008, 2012, Cooper was elected as Attorney General, so he won on the same ballot as Al Gore, John Kerry, and Barack Obama twice. And then in 2016 and 2020, in 2016, he beat out an incumbent Republican governor, Pat McCrory. And in 2020, he won re-election by nearly 5 points on the same ballot as Joe Biden, lost the state by 1.5, and Cal Cunningham lost that Senate race. So Cooper has won statewide so many times, and Democrats, it makes sense that they think he's a great candidate. And just to kind of show, what Democrats have been up with in North Carolina, the last time that they won a Senate race, we talked about the last time that they won a presidential race. The last time they won a Senate race here was in 2008. So 2008 was really the last year Democrats won anything federally in North Carolina at a statewide level. And in 2008, if you look at this map, Kay Hagan, who sadly passed away in 2019, she won this race. She beat out an incumbent Republican, Elizabeth Dole. But in 2014, she lost narrowly to Tom Tillis, who again had the advantage of running in a red wave year, but she came within 50,000 votes of holding on to her seat. And then in 2020, Democrats were actually favored to flip the seat back. Cal Cunningham was thought to be a narrow favorite to beat Tom Tillis, and Tom Tillis won re-election by just under 2%. And now we're in the year 2026, where the Democratic Party is very likely to, at this point, run Roy Cooper. As you can see, he has declared, and we have seen Wiley Nickel, who's the other candidate in the race. He withdrew and is kind of clearing the field for Roy Cooper. And so this all is really great for Democrats, and I don't mean to take away from that in the sense that I don't want to downplay the very, very clear implications of this, but I do think we have to talk about the fact that this is still going to be an incredibly competitive race, that Roy Cooper's going to have to run a really good campaign to win. Now, North Carolina is a swing state, and I fully believe that, but it's a red-leaning swing state. It's been the reddest of kind of the Big Seven. Historically, it was the reddest of the Big Seven in 2020, and it was redder than every Big Seven state in 2024 except for Nevada and Arizona. And so Democrats have a lot of heavy lifting to do here, and just throwing aside the fact that 2026 could be a good year for Democrats, there are a lot of things that I think Democrats should be worried about. And I actually tweeted about this. Go follow me on Twitter, by the way, because I tweeted about, I tweet my thoughts there. But I tweeted this, and what I said was basically that Democrats, I think, have landed a great candidate in Cooper. That doesn't mean that they're going to be favorites to win this race. Democrats, as I said, have found a way to lose a federal race in North Carolina at a statewide level for 17 years straight. And truth be told, this is true. I have yet to hear a compelling case for why Cooper is anything more than a 50-50 race. He's a good candidate, don't get me wrong. He's a great candidate, actually. But is he in a race that he's 70% chance to win? I'm not entirely sure. And then secondly, you have the issue of black turnout, which it's 2026 is a midterm year, and the Democratic Party has struggled in midterm years in North Carolina. Go back to 2022. This is a good example of your Democrats did pretty well in Senate elections broadly. Sherry Beasley, if you watched on channel back in 2022, I said she ran a really good campaign. Sherry Beasley did exceptionally well in the suburbs. She outran Joe Biden in some parts of these suburbs. Did pretty good with white voters based on exit polling and precinct level data. She lost this race because black turnout in the northern part of the state was lower. It was very low. And in 2024, in a presidential year, Democrats, I believe black turnout was a little bit better in 2024 than it was in 2022, but it wasn't that good. It was lower than 2020 and even 2016. And so Democrats haven't had a statewide race where they've gotten black turnout up to the level that it should be for them to win since 2020. It's been 5 years. And Democrats have fallen far since 2020. Democrats have not won the popular vote in federal national elections since 2020. And so that's going to be a bit of a problem for them. And just because of that, I think there's a lot of reasons to be skeptical of Cooper's. A lot of people are going to call him a clear favorite. I think it's a pure toss, but it's going to be so close. A lot of it comes down to the national environment. A lot of it comes down to Democratic enthusiasm. And, of course, a big part of that is black turnout. Democrats rely on black voters in the South. They're going to need really good turnout. So, those are just kind of my thoughts on this. I know I kind of did a part 1 and a part 2 where I talked about how good a candidate Cooper is, and I talked about why this is such a big deal. But I also want to recognize that this is going to be a hard race for Democrats to win. Am I saying it's a lean Republican race? No, I'm not. I think it's a toss-up. But it's worth thinking about, because these seats are often harder to flip than people think. And by the way, North Carolina is not as red as Montana or Tennessee, but Democratic governors who've run for Senate in the past, like Steve Bullock and Phil Bredesen, they've done well, but they haven't done well enough to win. So, something to think about as we approach 2026. So let me know what you expect. Let me know if you believe that Democrats are on the verge of flipping North Carolina, or let me know if you think Republicans are still going to maintain this seat in the U.S. Senate. Thanks, and I'll see you all next time.